It's not see-through.
BetMGM elite.
That's not see-through. This is better than Major League quality. You know it, Kratz. You jealous?
Todd Frazier, everybody look. Everybody quick look. It's Todd Frazier. He's in Cincinnati.
Oh, you just took out somebody's ear up there at the bar, by the way. Good job.
No joke,
so
because
they
you'll
know.
see this tomorrow. So we'll be in the ballpark tomorrow, and then we'll be here with a little meet and greet. Last time we were here, when you walk around with Todd Father during game day,
Todd, you
it
want
is an
front end first.
experience. It is an experience to see Todd with the fans.
love
There
the
are people
fans.
coming up to him that are like, yo, you were everything for me over the last 10 years. By far the best moment in Reds' recent history. Obviously, they have some titles in the deep, deep past. But in recent history, the Reds haven't had a ton of winning success. So what's the biggest moment for a lot of Reds fans?
2015 Home Run Derby. I still get some love. I appreciate the fans. They were so gracious when I was here. I love them to death. And if you see me walking the streets, give me a big hug, high five, something. Tell me what you want. I love them now.
Mm-hmm. Oh, even I remember it was you and Danny Graves last time. There were people driving, and there were like a couple cars sometimes that like stopped, and they were like,
stopping traffic.
Is that Todd Father and Danny Graves?
Yeah.
You know how it is.
They
they don't forget. Just like Yankee fans when Kratz is in Manhattan, right?
Todd, what's the coolest thing? What's the coolest thing if fans come up to you and told you, or like, just when you get to Cincinnati, especially when you're in the city there?
No, I've had a couple feel-good stories where a fan would come up to me and say, "Hey, man, my grandmother, or, my mom was dying, but the last thing they saw pretty much was the Home Run Derby. It made everybody smile." So those are feel-good stories, which I enjoy those every day of the week.
Yeah, that's really cool. Major life impact. So cool to be in Cincinnati. Let's charge the damn mound. Let's get to some topics, shall we?
Charging the mound.
Peter Fairbanks with one of the quotes of the year right now for a Rays team that has been struggling bullpen-wise. Should we run what he said post-game? He's had a few notable post-game conversations already, so let's start with this one.
Was it just a matter of command, location, selection, anything specific?
No, I thought it generally sucked. I didn't think it was a specific suck. I thought it was like an all-encompassing type of suck. So, we're going to try and rectify that. But for right now, I'm going to be pretty pissed about it.
Pete, where do you kind of go from here? Is it looking at tape? Is it going through mechanics? Where do you kind of go from here?
You tell me. I've tried that. If you got an answer, I'd love to hear. Just, not going to let it beat me up for, I'll maybe give it till 10. It's 9:44 right now. We'll give it 16 minutes of sulk, and then we'll, get back on the bump and figure it out.
Oh, see, I didn't catch the whole quote. It was actually even better than I thought, Kratz. The all-encompassing suck was just the intro to the entire monologue.
My favorite part was because he's always got that same look on his face. He didn't even answer. He was just standing here like this. It was like, this is a day when you watch a player, a big league player for me, and I sit there and I go, I'm so glad I'm not playing anymore, because everybody has been there. Todd has been there. He swung and missed at pitches where you're like, I don't know. I really am not sure why the ball did not at least hit some of my bat. Like, at some point, the ball should have hit my bat, even like a foul ball, something. And we've all been there.
My favorite part about the whole thing is he allows himself 16 minutes to sulk, and I think that's the best part of it. I remember, I'll give you a good example. Dontrell Willis, I played in the minor leagues and in the big leagues with the Reds for a little bit. Before he'd have a struggle, he'd get nasty, he'd get angry, throw something. But right before he left that clubhouse, he'd take a deep breath and go, all right, it's over with. Got to go home. Got to go to my kids. And I think he's sort of doing something like that, letting himself feel bad for himself. He's a professional. He's a normal human being too. So the way he's going about it, it's kind of funny. I was smiling. It's kind of comical, but he's being real. And that's all you can ask for from a player.
Yeah, I agree. And, he's going through it. The Rays are going through it. And you remember, we didn't get too much time to talk about it, Kratz, but he was one of the dudes that was blasting the baseballs Kenley Jansen spoke about the baseballs recently, but Fairbanks spent a lot of time saying how off the baseballs were in terms of consistency. And that was in Colorado, right? He was like, yo, we got to get that humidor fixed.
I mean, everybody's got the humidor now. So that's nothing's changed there in Colorado, but it's the consistency factor of it. And it's a real problem. The issue that everybody's going to have is, oh, well, he's saying it now because he's not doing good. Well, he just said it. He wasn't blaming it on that. He just said it. And I think it's something that everybody has to battle through. And right now he's going through it. And I watched Kevin Cash talk. There was no talking about like, oh, he's going to be removed from the closer role. Or their closer role. Their closer role is, the top of the order, the meat of the order, not necessarily the ninth inning.
See what happens.
Yeah, Rays are still playing decent ball.
They're still playing. They're
fine.
Still playing fine. Angels are, actually around that 500 mark too, if not a little better. So it's like it's a little different season going on here. Besides,
it's early.
It's early. That's what I was going to say. It's an early take, but he's frustrated, as we know. And guess what? He's the realness of it makes me laugh because I wish more people were like that. Hey, you tell me, Scott. I'm struggling right now in the show. Help me. I don't know what to do.
Tell me what to do. I'm going to forget about it in 15 minutes. Like, the answer there helps fans connect to the player.
Yeah.
You know what I'm saying? I think more of that is helpful. Lance Lynn was a prime example last year on this show. He was going through it in the beginning of the year, and he would come on our show, and he would be like, oh, you think I'm bad? I think I'm worse, with a few F-bombs mixed in, right? Kratz? And there were so many people that commented off some of those clips on YouTube and on other socials, and they were like, I can't even be mad. This dude's had a great career. He's going through it right now. It looks like they were trying to teach him a new pitch that he wasn't feeling at the time, or at least he was trying to get himself acquainted to a little bit of a different pitch mix, because this is a player that primarily was using different variations of a fastball for his entire career and then was entering a different phase of his career where he has to switch things up. And it took him some time to figure it out. Then he actually kind of became a strikeout guy, but if he comes on after a game and says, yo, this was not me, I was terrible, I think I'm worse than you think I am, it's hard to fault the guy.
Hard to fault a guy. And you sit there and go, as a player, an all-star type of pitcher that Fairbanks is, it's either going to go one of two ways. He's either going to continue to suck and he's going to have to figure it out in the minor leagues, or, maybe there's some kind of injury lingering thing. Or the part that I'm going to bet on is the fact that he's going to get back to where he was. So to me, being honest is going to help you in that process of moving forward, whatever that next step is going to be for him. And then he's going to help carry this team. He's going to help carry a bullpen that really needs it. We hit on a little bit yesterday with Tricia that the bullpen is just walking too many guys. And I get it. Taylor Ward's hit yesterday was kind of a bleeder off the end. But what do the Rays do? The Rays strike guys out. And when you're walking guys, it's okay, but you can't give up those bleeders. And that's what ultimately ended up killing them. Now, a couple rockets here and there, but they got to get back to their strikeouts, and they got to get back to their strikeouts in the zone.
And I think to finish this whole topic with Pete, like, at the end of the day, the media comes over, he keeps it real, and there's nothing else to talk about. See you later. Like, there's no other backlash or anything else. So when they go to him, they know he's a guy that's going to keep it real, get your question on, and move the heck out of there. And I think that's another point in the whole situation.
Yep, and check the stats. And check the stuff. I think if that's the biggest problem for the Rays, they're in pretty good shape right now. And I would say for the most part, they're outperforming expectations because of slow starts from Fairbanks, Arozarena, and others. Let's get to the other side of that matchup. The Angels are off to an okay start. I would say exceeding expectations as well at the moment. And they just lost their big money signing from the offseason. Tyler Stevenson goes down. It sucks for the player, first off, because finally found his stride. Big breakout last year with the Rays when he moved over there. And we can show the tweet from Sam Blum, who does a great job covering the team for The Athletic. He said this is brutal news for the Angels and for Stevenson. He does have an option for $2.5 million that will now be available to the Angels after 2026, right? So this was a 3-year deal, and now in 2027 they can have him for cheap if he's healthy and right at that point. But it was 3 years, 33 mil. That's more than Blake Snell or Jordan Montgomery got in guaranteed money. I get it; it's stretched out over a 3-year span, but it's a pretty tough loss for the Angels.
I mean, and things weren't going well from the get-go, just from a team standpoint. Getting Shohei Ohtani leaving, and they brought in a couple guys, but with the whole brass problems going on and this, I feel bad. I just feel terrible for this guy because injuries stink. You know, you were hoping it wasn't that big of a deal. He signed that 3-year, $33 million. Great kid. You just feel for him. You feel for the Angels too as well because nothing's really going right. And they weren't looking like a playoff team anyway, even though they weren't bad right now. So, I mean, the focus right now is just go out there and play. But for him, get healthier. He does have a team option that'll be available. I mean, you hate to think about it now. The season just began, but
Yeah.
tough break for him and the team.
I mean, he was not a like elite level bullpen guy, and then when he went to the Rays, he was elite level, and they turned something around in the sense of, I think he had, I forget, I think it was 28 innings, 38 innings with the Rays, and 60 punchies when he was going more of like a one punch out every inning. Like, that's a huge turnaround. And this is kind of, it's not an I told you so kind of thing, but it's one of those like, how far do you want to push it in a sense of like, hey, this pitch, you're really ripping this slider and you're getting more horizontal movement than you had, and it is super successful. It could hurt you. Is it worth it? 100% it's worth it. So it's kind of like we're saying, all these injuries, yeah, well, if it's worth it, he was able to cash in because of a pitch that was giving him elite success. Like if he continued what he did with the Rays, he'd have been an all-star this year.
It's a microcosm of the pitching injuries we're having, right? He shines, he gets paid, he gets hurt. So how are you going to tell a guy not to do that? So we talked about this a lot during the offseason. Here's a little couple minutes about the signing. Here's actually the problem that I have. The Angels, number one, are not close to contention. So spending this kind of money on a reliever, in my mind, And then number two, they did this last year with Tyler Anderson coming off a free agent year where he made tweaks.
Yes.
How did that go? And I will give credit to one of our friends here, Jim Bowden. He pointed it out, but he was like, the Angels seem to be signing these guys off contract years that make tweaks. He goes, here's my problem. They make those tweaks, the league adjusts, and then they're not as good as they were for those 30 innings.
3 years, $33 million. I mean, I'm looking at his career numbers here. You mentioned 5s and 6s. We got a 6, we got a 4 or 6, we got a 9, we got a 5-4, we got a 6, we got a 3-3-8 in Pittsburgh, and then 5-1-4 in Pittsburgh this year, and then he goes to Tampa and goes to a 2-3-5. I mean, I don't know what they're doing in Tampa, but like Todd said, man, sign me up if I'm a free agent reliever to go to Tampa Bay because, wow. I mean, everybody seems to go there and get better, but, man, 3 years, 33 for a guy that his career is a 4.64 ERA. And listen, he's got a lot of strikeouts, but he also has a big number in another thing. He's got a lot of damn walks, too. So he gives up a lot of homers, a lot of walks, a lot of base runners. So you better hope and pray if you're the Anaheim Angels, you know what Tampa did to him and how to fix him and keep him right.
He's kind of got this different approach a little bit. He's kind of smooth as silk. He went to Tampa, all of a sudden, a little more aggressive coming out to shoot like Hyde. Wham. One of those. I'm not a pitcher, don't get me wrong, but still seems like it's a little more aggression. That'll dictate guys like, oh, heater's coming. No, actually, boom, here comes a slider or something. So keeping that same path and that same motion with a little more aggression and fire coming towards the batter, I mean, that could be a little something that they tinkered with.
Okay, and then fan perspective, Todd Father, if you're an Angels fan and you've been through it for a long time now, right? They have not been a good team for a long time. Are you satisfied with this? Like, what are you looking for in an offseason from a team that hasn't been able to get over the hump? They just lost their best player, and they're not really replacing him much yet. There are some promising young players there, but I'm just wondering, I like spending money, obviously, clearly, if you watch the show, but is that the right place to spend it on a bullpen? I feel like that's the last piece of the puzzle usually. You have to have relievers. They've actually done 3 or 4 other transactions this offseason, reliever related, like a Luis Garcia. But I'm just like, do you need to be winning this bid, or do you need to be spending that money so that you don't fall $30 million short on Blake Snell? I felt like that was important to show, Kratz. I know it was a little long, but we talked about how he completely changed. And like you mentioned, it could have led to injury and how it was a confusing offseason for the Angels. Not like they didn't spend it all, but they spent everything on their bullpen as if everything was perfect and this was the last piece of the puzzle.
I was out there. I wasn't at that show because I was dancing with the elephants in Africa. But there is literally. To me, if you put yourself in the position of January 22nd, now if they go and they say, okay, we're pushing for Blake Snell too. We want the Blake Snell signing too. Do you like the Robert Stephenson signing if that had happened?
Yeah. I would say so.
Well, it's better. I mean, it was such an incomplete offseason, and they cut payroll by 40-something mil?
But there was a lot of reports that they were pushing. They were pushing. He wanted to go to LA.
No.
You don't believe it, but
I don't believe it.
Okay.
For me, and we're going to have our next guest on in a sec because she knows all about this. Some teams are very good at saying that they were in on player X. Oh, we were so close. We finished in second. We were in third.
Yeah,
we called his agent.
It's so close.
Yeah, I'm sorry. No. Well, let's bring her in. We'll ask her about it. Okay. Agree to disagree. Gabrielle Starr, friend of the show, writes for the Boston Herald. Follow her at GFSTARR1, joining us right now before the Red Sox play. Gabrielle, you've seen this before. I mean, we'll go to Red Sox in a moment, but we're talking about the Robert Stephenson injury, and Kratz was like, well, they were maybe in on, who'd you say, Snell, Kratz?
No. Yep.
How often did you hear that about the Red Sox this offseason and last offseason? They were this close to this player.
Stop.
I'm still going there.
Stop.
Thanks for having me back, guys. Heard it several times. say several times per free agent too. Actually, Montgomery, not Snell really, but there were quite a few guys where I was like, well, we're engaged, we're staying engaged, we're having conversations. At the end of the day, it doesn't matter if you don't close the deal. So.
Yeah, if you're not first, you're last. That's what I heard. Exactly. So, all right, let's run through. Unfortunately, first off, some injuries for the Red Sox. It's coming in hot for them. They're off to a decent start, 500-ish level start in a tough division. But what's going on? I mean, do you want to run through just what's happened and what news has emerged in the past 24 hours alone for the team?
Yeah, it's not been ideal, though I will say I think every team's fans have kind of like blinders on when it comes to, it feels like my favorite team is the only one that's getting all of these injuries. We're seeing a ton of injuries around the league, like a stunning amount, especially elbow injuries, pitching injuries. The Red Sox have had some very bad luck. They lost Giolito for the whole season before the season even started. Pivetta is throwing another bullpen on Saturday, but he's, obviously it's hard to not even have him for one or two starts. And Tyler O'Neill went on the 7-day IL, which is specifically for concussion-related situations today, retroactive to 2 days ago. So Rob Refsnyder is back, which is great in terms of both infield and outfield depth, and he absolutely slays left-handed pitchers. But you're also worrying about Rafael Devers because he's getting an MRI on his knee after already missing several games with this kind of nagging shoulder soreness that's, making it hard for him to hit. He's got a really good on-base percentage because he's drawn a bunch of walks, but he's also hitting like 185. So there's a lot going on, not a lot of good in terms of the injuries, but you win some, you lose some, right? One step forward, one step, two steps back, maybe.
That's the old thing.
Depending on the day.
That's how it goes. I'm looking at some bright spots here. Tanner Houck, he's dominating. He had a complete game last night. The guy's a pretty solid pitcher. You got some guys under 1 ERA here. I mean, that doesn't seem like pitching's a problem, even though Whitlock's on the IL too as well. Like, it seems like next man up. It just got to hit the ball, basically, right?
Yes, as we all predicted the Red Sox starting rotation has the best ERA in Major League Baseball. That's what we all saw coming, I'm sure. They have the best starting rotation ERA by a Red Sox rotation through their first 19 games since the live ball era began in 1920. Significantly better than the 2018 rotation's ERA through the same span. And they lead the majors in ERA, WHIP, and I think opposing batting average. So it's, as we all drew it up, Tanner Houck has made 3 starts of 6+ innings without allowing a run. And he's the first Red Sox pitcher to throw a Maddox since Clay Buchholz in 2014. So it's been really impressive, and it's unfortunate that, it kind of feels like with this team when one thing is kind of going right, when one cylinder is firing, the other ones are not. So you're seeing, some troubling, defensive miscues, which you can chalk a lot of that up to not having Trevor Story, obviously, and a lot of young guys and rookies who are finding their way in the majors. You're also seeing a lot of inconsistency from the lineup and not a ton of power. And so losing O'Neill, who has the second most home runs in Major League Baseball and is leading the league in slugging percentage, has a 750 slugging percentage. That's a tough blow. And even though Devers is struggling at the plate, not having him is also hard. So it's been kind of literally hit or miss. And therefore you're seeing things like losing an 11-inning game after coming back from a 5-1 deficit earlier. It's been a mixed bag, but the rotation's been insane.
Is this pitching rotation? Is this pitching as a team? Is this a thumbprint of Andrew Bailey? Is this a new organizational philosophy that he's just implementing? Because this is an area that they don't produce. They don't have many pitchers from their minor league system. So they're hoping that all of the younger guys from the minor league system are position players. I think it's like the top 9 prospects are position players. And so Andrew Bailey coming in, is this his baby, or is this the organization changing their philosophy?
I think it's a combination. Obviously, having a former Red Sox pitcher, a former Red Sox World Series champion in Craig Breslow at the helm, someone who did an excellent job overhauling the Chicago Cubs pitching development, that's key. This organization has struggled to develop homegrown starting pitching for decades. And, nothing has really seemed to work. And that's why you can point to, John Lester or a Brian Bayo or Clay Buchholz and say, these are the elite homegrown starting pitchers, because there are so few of them that it's not hard to pinpoint them. I think he and Bailey, Breslow and Bailey, have made huge strides already. The guys really like working with Bailey. I've heard nothing but rave reviews about just how immediately he was so in contact with all of them, how involved he was throughout the offseason, how he dove in head first and was really making an effort to do one-on-one work with guys before spring training and going down to the fort to see the guys that were working out there. He has made a huge difference, which was not exactly surprising because of how he worked in San Francisco. But the results are clear. This is historically the best starting rotation performance through the first 19 games since Babe Ruth was on the team. And that's incredibly impressive. It's not going to be this way the entire season. Though then again, people also thought it was going to be like this at all this season. So maybe I'll be wrong and they will, they'll all be fighting for the AL Cy Young. Who knows? It's incredibly impressive. And I think people can complain a lot about the team not spending money, about the win-loss record, et cetera. But there is something to be said for the pitching development personnel changes that the Red Sox made this offseason. And you could argue that the ripple effect, the impact of those personnel changes will be far more significant and long-lasting than signing one very expensive free agent starter. I'm not saying give the Red Sox a free pass for not spending money. I'm just saying a lot of times personnel changes like this are not as appreciated because they're not splashy. But people were begging for Bailey, and the Sox hired him away, and the results are clear. I mean, the Red Sox have the rotation's thrown over 100 innings so far. Last year, they threw like low 80 something through their first 19 games, and everyone was freaking out because no one was going more than 4 innings. You got a complete game shutout Maddox from Tanner Houck last night. I don't know what else you could ask for from this rotation right now.
Okay, the Red Sox didn't spend money in free agency, or not much money in free agency. They did spend it on Ceddanne Rafaela. Is there a leash that we know the length of it if he continues to struggle, or because this season is kind of, we're going to hover around 500, it's just his job, he's got his extension, there's no AAA in his future?
I mean, for one thing, Rafaela, the defensive talent, you need it when you see the other kind of defensive struggles and the injuries that have popped up. The fact that he can play not only center field, but shortstop, second base, that's crucial. Because without Trevor Story, I think as of a few days ago, they'd made like 11 errors since Story went down. And that was as of, I think, Monday or Tuesday. So within about an 8-day span of losing him, you make 11 errors. The bat has always been a work in progress with him. That's why he didn't start the season in AAA last year. He started in AA where he'd been the year before, because they wanted him to be more selective at the plate. They wanted him to, not strike out as much and see the ball better. And he did that this spring. But I think at the end of the day, when you not only have someone who they believe and evaluators outside of the organization believe is a future perennial Gold Glove player, at a certain point, you kind of just have to test them out and let them figure it out in the big leagues, because it's incredibly rare.
Oh, I think we lost
Saw with
Gabrielle.
Tanner Houck.
Uh-oh.
Oh,
Gabrielle,
Can
we
you guys
lost you
hear
for a
me?
sec. Oh, you're back. Yep. Maybe not. Frozen.
They're cutting the Wi-Fi in and out in
that
Boston.
Fenway Wi-Fi.
Yeah.
Fenway
That's what we
Wi-Fi.
were just saying.
Gabrielle, we'll let you jump because I know the game's about to start, and it was so smooth. And then
Sorry,
it's like
guys.
first pitch coming through, fans are all on their phones. But no, it's fine. We appreciate the time. I know you got the game coming up, so it was going a little choppy, but thank you. We'll have you back,
Sorry,
of course,
guys.
very soon. Yeah, no problem at all.
That's what
Trust me.
happens when you try to put Wi-Fi in an 100-plus-year-old ballpark. It's just
Exactly.
it's
The
not
ballpark-
wired for this.
That's
Yeah, the ballpark is stubborn. They don't want to accept it. Thank you, Gabrielle. Good to see you.
Thanks for having me, guys.
Appreciate you. And we'll post some clips from this. And Gabrielle Starr is a great follow on Twitter as well at GFStar1.
Scotty, you know what you
All right.
say?
What?
Big league team, minor league Wi-Fi.
That is correct. And it's funny, we were talking about a player that you were asking bat-wise if it still needs more minor league seasoning. And the Wi-Fi starts sneaking in.
Needs a little seasoning.
Anyway, yes. But I agree. I mean, Rafael can freaking pick it out there in the outfield. But, yeah, there's still bat questions, no doubt. Not making enough contact, not seeing big exit velo numbers, hard hit, all that, right? Like, you got to either be above average on the contact side or smack 20, 30 homers.
true.
I want to see him at shortstop. I want them to make the full. Don't platoon anymore. Don't throw him out in center. Throw him. I want to see him at shortstop. I saw a little bit in the minor leagues. They're in center field. Move Duran to center. Ref Snyder will start getting more reps, and O'Neill will come back here after his stitches heal. All that stuff, like that's to me, you got to go there. Especially if he can do what he does, he'll settle in, and I think his hitting will just improve. But that's
Duran should be the center fielder. That's
he's not better than Rafaela.
What's that?
He's not better in center than Rafaela.
No, but you're saying he can fix the infield defense a little bit if you move him in there, and I get that. Duran, I think.
Oh, the guy can fly.
He can fly. I think.
And I might be biased because I played with him with USA ball, and the kid was absolutely lights out.
He's a sick athlete.
Yeah.
They're still working on the routes with him. From the last I heard,
too much diving. Anytime you see a center fielder always diving, it means he's not getting the best jumps, and I think he's learning that. But you also have Yoshida to throw out there. They need to get not center, left field. I'm saying,
man, he's got work to do too.
You need two center fielders in Boston because right field is so big, and you need somebody in center that gets good reads. And I just think Duran in center and Rafaela at short gives them a much better defense, which will help their pitching continue to sustain what they've been doing.
Yeah, they're trying to become more of a run prevention team. I don't know if Yoshida's a big league outfielder, period. Here and there, okay, but not for a hundo plus out there. I think
is Tyler O'Neill?
Yes. Is he a big league outfielder? Yes.
It's left field. It's left field in Fenway. It's not the easiest left field to play. You gotta have people out there that can roam a little bit.
Don't talk about Tyler O'Neill like that. And his 7 home runs.
That's your hero.
Doppelganger.
All right, let's do some BetMGM locks. Let's do them early because Kratz is bouncing about halfway through. He's leaving us.
What?
He only does the show every day. We'll let him go. We'll give him the permission slip for today.
You better win. That's all.
You better. You're right. You better bring home a dub
and
on the freaking high school field.
One time for no reason, you better let us know that he's the next Jaron Duran.
My younger son plays center field.
I love it.
He's always diving. Told him get better jumps.
Well, he's watching now, and he's going to hold back today. He's going to be like, you know what, Dad, you're right. I'm going to get a nice first jump here on a ball to center.
There's a green check mark there.
There is. You had a day.
Whammy.
A Yanks come back for you. I had a terrible day. It was a no-sweat loss, and Kratz fell short on half of that strikeout prop with Littell and Detmers, right? Littell hit it, and Detmers didn't?
Correct. Detmers wanted to. He was going to. But Ron had a little bit of quick trigger. They had the lead, pulled him a little early. He had about 20 more pitches to go, but that's okay. I'm not mad at you, Ron.
No, and we're both still up. If we show the next slide,
you're right.
Still okay.
Well, you guys are betting pennies.
That's not true. I always revolve my life around a hundo.
$100 make you holla. I get paid to do the wild thing.
Right.
I'm not.
That's why
not yet.
That's why you're up and I'm down.
That's fair. Yeah. Well, you balling out today?
No, I'm not going to ball out today. I'm going to be same kind of $300 bet.
Okay.
I'm going to tell it now.
Yes,
course,
please.
For the people. I'm going to take no runs, nerfy, as Kratzy would say, in the Diamondbacks Giants game tonight. Webb's on the mound. I think it's going to be 0-0 after the first. 360 to win 300 at minus 120. We're looking for a goose egg, first inning, late night.
Like that. You'll get to bed early. You don't even need to watch the rest of the game.
Exactly.
Very calculated there. I'll follow that just because I picked that game too, and I anticipate that I will be awake and probably doing work. So I'll watch that game, and I will root for the Giants tonight. It's a little heavy for me. I was thinking about putting a SGP in there like a Conforto hit, but I held back because I've been a little cold. So just Giants money line. This is about as hefty as I'll go at minus 150. So laying down 150 to win a hundo. Last year, Webb pitched well against Arizona. I'm fading Ryan Nelson a little bit. I know he's coming off a nice start against St. Louis. They were still hitting, though. We scattered the hits. 6 innings, 1 run, 7 hits. Opposing batters are in the 300 range against him. He is a contact guy. Fly ball rate's pretty high. I can see San Francisco's offense waking up a little bit tonight. And Arizona's been riding a wild series against the Cubs. I could see a one-day dip, and then they pick it back up and get all hyped for the Jordan Montgomery start on Friday. So we'll see what happens. Kratz?
Well, I went to the other game so that we can cover the other night game. I'm going Cubs. Oh, Jamison Tyone coming out. Not sure how many pitches they're going to let him have, but facing a beleaguered Marlins lineup, I am taking the run line with the Cubs, and they're giving it to me at plus 125. The Cubs just came off a series with the Diamondbacks where they were whacking the baseball all around. Comebacks, don't come back, yes, come back. And so I'm thinking the Cubs are going to keep it rolling as they get back home. The only leery part for me was the fact they're going from AZ to Chicago and they play without an off day. But I think they're going to come out. AJ Puck on the mound for the Marlins. One of their decent pitcher, but I think they're going to win by at least 2 runs. Thought about buying up to 2.5, but we're keeping it at plus 125 for 100.
That would have been aggressive.
It would have been aggressive. Yep.
Yeah. Puck doesn't look right. It's not converting on the starting pitching side. I want it to. He used to be a starter. He did pretty well as a reliever for a while. I could see him moving back to a relief role pretty soon. They do have like a pretty good pitcher in the minor leagues who could, give them some more innings, don't they?
No. He can only throw 3 innings. Nope. Max Meyer, stay
Max
down.
Meyer?
Nope.
Yeah.
Sorry, Max
Only
Meyer.
3 innings. And make sure you use those bullets in the minor leagues. We don't want to see them in the major leagues.
Stop it.
Don't get me started.
Yeah.
But if you're starting new on the BetMGM Sportsbook app, the code to use is FOUL, F-O-U-L, for your first bet offer. Sign up and deposit at least $10 into your account. And when you place your first wager, you can get up to $1,500 back in bonus bets. If the bet loses, if that happens, your bonus bets will be available once your initial wager is settled. You know where we're at today. We're at the BetMGM Sportsbook at the Banks, right across the street from the ballpark. This is a spot to go before the game, after the game, lunchtime on an off day. The eats are legit. We posted about them. Thank you so much to the crew here for feeding us for the few days. And can we get a little play-by-play on what we're looking at here right now?
Looking good.
I mean,
Nation Kitchen and Bar serving up some extra heavy nachos. Nice little cheeseburger. What are you grabbing? You can literally see it. It's right there.
It's right there. I'd probably go nachos right now. Start off with the nachos nuevos.
That's your app.
Oh, God. It looks so good. I'm peeking over there. This show's not done yet?
Nah, we got an hour.
Next time.
Kratz, what are you eating?
That burger looks like it slaps. Something about that
like
bun.
You were going to say it.
I was going to say your face looks like a burger, but
I knew you were going to say it. You got
because
scared.
I was going to eat that. That bun just looks. That bun. Sometimes a bun can really sell a burger, and I know Scotty's not eating any buns. He's not eating any cheese.
Gluten-free bun. I'm good. Just a little allergy. No big deal.
You like buns?
What you think? I ain't got none.
Yesterday's action.
Oh man.
And then we'll have our guest joining us momentarily. The one I want to focus on is the Dodgers. What happened?
Oh, sorry. We're talking about the Dodgers right now.
Oh, you got something else?
No, we'll talk about them next. What's going on over there?
I was just looking at that series against the Nats, and they dropped 2 out of 3. I would just like to remind all of the haters from the offseason that said that MLB is unfair and that one team is spending all the money and that they're going to automatically win a World Series. Yes, you know who you are. There were many of you complaining. This is not an auto 120 win team. Stop it.
Todd said it.
I didn't say 120. I said they're going to win it all.
Yep.
So,
and I took the field. They got shut out. I can't believe it. They got shut out.
First time in a million years.
Didn't have 5 hits.
Yeah. First time in 262 days that they are shut out. And in both losses, they got dominated on the pitching side. The Nationals are not known for their pitching right now. I mean, they've got some nice young position players that are formulating. Lane Thomas is kind of like the elder statesman of the next wave. And then you've got C.J. Abrams playing well. Dylan Cruz coming soon. James Wood coming soon. And some other names. On the pitching side, there's not a ton to be excited about. Josiah Gray's hurt right now. Mackenzie Gore has pitched pretty well, but they're not loaded with pitching prospects, but maybe they're being undervalued.
Is it that, or is it the Dodgers bullpen? I feel like, I don't know. They just haven't really done it. I tough to explain.
For me, it's the offense.
You do?
I thought they were going to score 8 runs a game. And actually, for the first week and a half, they were kind of in that range.
Yeah.
And it's cooled off. It's baseball. It's what happens.
Yeah.
It does
I
happen.
get it. It's good for baseball, too, as well. You know, the Nationals
No doubt.
coming in L.A., it's going to be a blowout Central, and then, boom, shutout Central. So,
And here come the Metropolitans
and here
next
come
for the
the Mets,
weekend.
and they're hot,
They're like,
baby.
oh, hey, no one likes us, but we're going to come and
meet the
maybe
Mets,
no
meet the
JD
Mets.
Martinez yet after this series. That would have been cool if he was back.
I'm intrigued to watch this Parker kid pitch for the Nats. The lefty that kind of huge legs, kind of resembles his game after Kershaw. Even kind of has that like star, and he made his debut in LA. I'm interested to see his how he adjusts to the league or how the league adjusts to him.
Mm-hmm. All right, we are ready for our next guest on FT Live. Joining the show again, I think it's been almost a year. Yankees radio legend Suzyn Waldman joining us right now on FT. We got your favorites here too, Suzyn.
I know it. I see them right there. My dog has decided to bark. I'm sorry. And I'm just sitting
That's
here.
okay.
I'm just sitting here watching young Mr. Leiter and remembering when Al was 18 and he was crying in the parking lot because he just got traded to the Toronto Blue Jays. That was 1989. He can deny it all you want, but Michael Kay and I remember him sitting there crying. Why'd they trade me? So watching him trying to sit still as his son is making his major league debut, makes my heart feel good, right?
Oh man,
You know he's
Al
not
trying to sit
at all.
still. It does not exist. He's one of the
He's got-
jumpiest dudes I've seen.
He's got the sunglasses on and everything, like he's incognito there sitting there.
Trying to play it cool. Wait, can you give us anything else from that time period all the way back when Al was traded to the Blue Jays? Like he was shocked. Obviously, he was excited to be, in New York City for the long term, and then his life changed. And actually, ultimately, it worked out for him pretty well.
It worked out better for him, actually. I think that was after he threw like 140 pitches one game. I can't remember, but he was all over the place. But for me, it was great because coming back the other way was a man who like saved my life, and that was Jesse Barfield. So he came back the other way, so I was really happy about the whole thing.
Suze,
Yeah.
good to see you. Good to see you as always.
See you. You make me smile, Todd Frazier.
Oh, thank you so much. I want to talk a little bit of Yankees now, as we know. I want to jump into Mr. Sterling. What a joyous guy he was. You've been alongside of him for, I can't even tell you how many years. You guys have been partners going on for a long time.
20 years.
Talk a little bit about him and what he's done and how he's helped you out through the years and just the relationship you guys had. Because we know, he's not there anymore, and now it's your turn to kind of step up and fill that a little bit.
Well, let me tell you about way back. 1987 is when you should have told me that my strap was showing. My goodness, I can't be on a podcast and strap showing. You got to tell me, guys. I mean,
Come on, Kratz. Where are you?
Come on, Kratzy. I actually met John 1987 when WFAN went on the air. It was the summer of 87. And I was doing updates. I was the first voice in the air, and I was doing updates from 3 to 7. And I was supposed to be with a guy named Pete Franklin from Cleveland who didn't come because he had health issues. And so they had guest hosts for a week or so. And every week a new person would come in. And in one day comes John Sterling from Atlanta. And it must have been All-Star break. And he got in, he introduced himself, and there was a microphone on the desk. And he put it up over so that he could talk into it. He stood up. He did his little hand on the air like Gary Owens in Laugh In. And he stood up and did a talk show standing up for 4 hours. And I remember thinking, what an interesting man this must be. And then we started talking about, the ninth inning of the 49 Red Sox Yankee series, and he knew Al Zarilla and he knew everything. But the thing that connected us is that I think everything in life is a line from a show or a song, and so does John. And we had the same sensibilities. For example, one night, this is before we were partners, and because when he came to New York in 89, we just became best friends. We'd sit together on the plane and on the bus. And for example, we'd have snow out in Detroit, a doubleheader, and we'd get back on the bus knowing we would have to come back. And I'd say to nobody in particular, well, we'll always have Detroit. And only John would laugh because he knew I was doing a line from Casablanca where Humphrey Bogart said to Ingrid Bergman, well, we'll always have Paris. But I said, we always have Detroit. And John thought it was hysterical. And we did that for years. For years. He was one of my biggest supporters. Don't forget, I did my first radio game. It was a Met Houston game, and it was 1992. So that's a really long time ago for me to have started. And when George had the idea to put me on the radio with John said, oh, that's a great idea. Let's get a woman. Let's be first. Sure, it's great. I love Suzyn. So he's responsible for a lot of my career because he's John Sterling. He very easily could say, no, I don't want to take that chance, having a woman on the air full time. I mean, this is a long time ago. It's 20 years ago. They still didn't want you on the air.
How should people remember John? How should they remember him as the radio voice of the Yankees? But what should they remember him as Yankee fans, as baseball fans?
Okay, his joy in baseball, his love for this team, his love for his city and this game. Just think, Kratzy, this is the only thing he's ever wanted to do since he was a tiny little boy, was to be Mel Allen and to be the voice of the New York Yankees. And how many of us have our dreams come totally true? John did. He really did. He always understood that radio and baseball was an entertainment. It's not just stats and all that. He saw people. He saw the game. He saw history. He was really good at it, really good at it. By the way, also has a photographic memory. So all the things that we were just talking about, he knew Ellis Kinder was taken out in the 5th inning. And why did they do that? That's 1949. That's a long time ago. But he had that kind of memory. So his love for the game, I think, is absolutely unmatched. But just think about it. To be able to have that kind of joy for this many years, this is his 64th year on the air doing anything, and to still have that childlike love for this game and particularly this team, I think it's unmatched. When people say that when they turn on the radio, they can tell the score of the game before John and I ever say what the score.
Kratz.
Sorry. It froze on me.
Suzyn, it froze for like 5 seconds, but then you came back. You're good.
That's my bad.
We got 98% of it.
I didn't look very good either when it froze. So.
Oh, come on.
Suzyn, you look great. Now, here's my question.
Okay, wait, before you said it, Scott, you said I hadn't been on for a year. Was I wearing the same top? Because I wear I wear this top when I do tubes. All right, go ahead. Sorry, Erik.
No. We'll try and find the outfit, but it was another immaculate outfit, but it was not that one.
Yes.
So you're safe.
it was not shimmering like this one, Suzyn. My question for you is, and this is a yes or no because then it'll dictate my next question. Did John run by his home run calls by you before he ever had them when a new player came in? You would be surprised by them.
He never shared them with anybody. He would take examples from people. People would, I'd say, why don't you do this? And he'd say, well, that sounds nice. And then somebody else, people would send us things. I mean, we'd be inundated with home run calls for Juan Soto and home run calls for anybody, and he'd take them all and he would decide. No, he never told me about anything. He would tell me sometimes what vein he was going in, but he never ran anything by me. No.
That's disappointing for me because that's one of my I don't have a triple in the big leagues, and my other disappointment in the big leagues is John Sterling. I never hit a home run for the Yankees, so I never got to hear what John Sterling would have said about my home run.
Oh, my goodness. Well, I'm going to see him on Saturday, so I'll ask him. Or I'll call him later, and I'll ask him.
Please call him and then have it sent so I'll always know what John's call would have been.
Okay, I will. And don't be surprised. Well, I'll have to send it to Todd because I don't have your cell phone. I'll send it to Todd.
Perfect.
Yeah,
Perfect.
send it to me. Mine, I love mine. The Todd father. In Todd we trust.
In Todd we trust. And
That
then
was a good one.
he would sing Fly Me to the Moon when you came up, and we would
Yeah.
riff on Fly Me to the Moon. We do a little harmony as Todd was coming to the plate.
I love it.
Oh, that's
I
good.
love it.
But he has to have them prepared, right?
Yeah.
I mean, it's one thing to not share them, but anybody on the Yanks has to have a call prepared, correct?
Well, yeah, he kind of knows what he's going to say, and then it comes out. He never did, by the way. This is Burn Baby Burn came out of his mouth. Just Georgie Juiced One came out of his mouth. For back then, it just happened. It was never supposed to be everybody. And then guys would come here and want to know what John was going to say. The only one who ever asked him to change it actually was Nick Swisher. And he did change it for him, which is where he got Swishalicious from. It was something else before, I think, jolly old Saint Nick. And Nick was all upset. So he asked him to change it.
Oh,
So,
Come on.
Come on. Wait till I talk to Nick. That's amazing.
You can't.
Wait, what
switch
happened?
it.
Give us more here. Like after the first call, does he see him the next day and say, John, not your best work, or I got a better one for you? Give me the story. What happened?
we were on the plane. And Nick Swisher comes back because, the media were back in the back of the plane, so we don't bother anybody, I guess. And Swish comes back and he says, John, I'm really not a kind of jolly Saint Nick kind of guy. I don't really like it. Can you do something else? But he was right. Because Swishalicious, they still say Swishalicious. And John came up with that. And John doesn't get insulted. He didn't say, well, how dare you? He said, oh, okay, let me think about that. And he'll know if something doesn't work. But the original ones, A-Bomb for A-Rod, Robbie Cano, Don't You Know, Georgie Juiced One. There's such great stories with that one. For the Georgie Juiced One, he said it, and somebody complained because he said, it sounds like Georgie's taking stuff. And John said, well, I didn't say he was juiced. I said he juiced one. And he turned around and walked away. The A-Bomb for A-Rod, somebody didn't like that. But then Alex told John that his mother loved it. So because Alex's mother loved it, John put it back. And it stayed there like that. Everybody's got to have a critique about something. But when it started, he didn't prepare them. They were very internal, and they just came out. The Burn Baby Burn just came out of nowhere, and that was the first one. And hopefully Bernie will be there on Saturday when they honor him, because he's got to be there. He's got to be there.
No doubt about it. No doubt. These are all great stories. Now I want to get back to the Yankees.
Yeah.
Talk a little about this. Their first series loss of the year against the Blue Jays. I feel like over the last couple of years, the Blue Jays just had their number. It's the weirdest thing just to think. Like, I don't know. They would always win 2 out of 3 or come into town and spoil something. But I want to talk about a little about 2 guys first and foremost. The impact Soto has had on this team, and then jump to Aaron Judge a little bit and talk a little bit about his slumps and what's going on with him. Big 2-out, 2 RBI single yesterday to kind of kickstart him back again. But are you worried at all? But go into both of those a little bit.
Okay, Juan Soto, I got to tell you, Todd, I've never seen anything like this. I mean, I've seen a lot of stars walk in. He's 25 years old. I've never seen someone as comfortable in his own skin as is Juan Soto. He knows who he is. He knows what he does. The only thing I can think about that is the same, for example, you've seen these guys when a pitcher will throw a strike and he knows that he could have hit it. He'll just point at the guy and say, yeah, you got me. And then he'll put this smirk on his face, and the next pitch will go into the upper deck. The only one who I ever saw who acts like that and terrorizes pitcher was Manny Ramirez. And you remember what he would do? He would laugh at you if you hit him or you struck him out. And then you knew the next time it was going into the, going over the Sitco sign. He's something. He's really something. And the only thing I can think of that is also similar is when Wade Boggs got to the Yankees. Don Mattingly told me that the year he got there, the Yankees went from last in bases on balls to first in a few months because Boggs was in there and everybody watched him. Quite frankly, everybody talking about Soto taking pitches and getting on with walks. Nobody cares because Aaron Judge is behind him. And I think there's a little timing thing that's going on. He would never admit whether anything still hurts, if he's having trouble with the foot. But you know what, as he said to me, I guess last week, he said, I wish this were in the middle of the year because then no one would notice, which you don't if it happens in July. But just think, this is what I think the Yankees are thinking. They are doing this without Aaron Judge, Anthony Rizzo, and Gleyber Torres are not hitting. And last year, when you didn't have Judge hitting, this team didn't win. And when Rizzo went out and Judge were out, you might as well said, all right, they'll try, but isn't that nice? We'll see you next year. This year, there's something else going on. Soto has a tremendous impact. I would say the bigger impact is James Rowson and Pat Rossler, the new hitting coaches, who are old school like you guys used to be, that, we deal, it's not in the iPad, it's inside of you. And it's very, very different. And all you have to do is look at Anthony Volpe, who has just rocketed. I don't know what you're seeing, but I'm seeing a different kid out there. And a lot of this is them saying, well, let's go away from the little launch angle junk. Let's flatten this out a little bit. Let's have you hit balls all over the park and get on. And he looks like a different player to me. But Soto's impression on this team is palpable. You can see it and you can feel it. And he's fun. He's fun to watch. I love the way he plays with the fans. He's got a big combination of seriousness and real joy at playing this game. And it's just fun to watch. He makes me smile. He really makes me smile.
So how has Juan Soto affected this rotation? This rotation without Garrett Cole? Is he affecting everything, or is there something that we're missing with this pitching staff that has a Garrett Cole-less pitching staff that everybody thought, the numbers were always, besides Cole, nobody did anything. How are they doing it now?
Well, they're being who they are, and quite frankly, Garrett Cole, they can't wait till he walks back in the park. You can only go so far with guys saying, I'm going to step up and do this. They are who they are, and Heel has emerged, but they're not getting deep into games. And Garrett Cole, you know what it's like when you have that one guy. He gives you 7 or 8 innings every time out, and the bullpen can sit there and do what they need to do and relax a little bit. But as you know, Kratz, you've seen this with a Garrett Cole and guys like him. They're always there. Clark Schmidt told me that after his great start the other night, first person who called him was Garrett. This is what was great. This is what we need to work in. Congratulations, we got him. Garrett Cole is a pitching coach. He is a friend. He is everything. He game plans. He talks to the catchers, and he's not here right now. But he's home now because he's doing some long toss. But he's always around. But you don't want to go too long without Garrett Cole. They're hoping the beginning of June.
Suzyn, you will be in the Hall of Fame at some point because of the groundbreaking things you've done on the radio. But what I want to know, how many in a course of a month, how many other female broadcasters, reporters, other females in baseball come up to you and thank you each month that you're working?
A lot of times really young women whom I've never met before. A lot of writers and a lot of big-time writers who are young women that I've been following said they heard me when they were a little girl. I was really pleased. Jenny Kavner, who just got the Oakland A's job, whom I've known forever and talked to her a lot, thanked me on the Today Show. I thought that was really, really kind of cool. It's mostly the really young ones. A lot of the next generation from me don't know who I am, but it's the girls in their 20s and the young women who are in minor league baseball, and there are 5 or 6 of them that I can name on my hands that are doing it now. It's the young ones who, when they were little girls, were riding with their parents and heard a woman on the air and thought, yeah, there's a girl there. I can do this, right? And so enough to make me feel good and to keep going. Let's put it that way.
You're special. I mean, a pioneer, trailblazer. Obviously, we very much look forward to when we can have you on this show. So what's next for the Yankees radio broadcast? What's it going to look like? And do we maybe get some Suzyn Waldman calls, home run calls? Like, do you have any interest on that front?
My guess is that that's not in the cards. That's okay. I haven't really, to be honest, I haven't done play-by-play in 25 years. So, I mean, and I did a lot of it in the 90s, but that's a long time ago. And at this point in my life, you know what, even if I did, what am I going to be here for the next few years? And then it's somebody else's turn. We're going to have a audition group. There's a couple that we know of already. Justin Shackle and Emmanuel Barbari are young kids that have done minor league ball, and they'll be with me. And I think there'll probably be more. And I'm sure when the season is over, WFAN and the Yankees will be inundated with people that want this job. But I've created a niche that I'm pretty proud of. And I think I'm going to leave it just the way it is.
I love that. That's great. And whoever gets selected will be honored. It'll be really cool.
It's not going to be anytime soon. Trust me. I mean, you don't just replace someone who's been there for almost 40 years in a month and a half. It's that's a tough thing to do.
Yeah, absolutely. Well, we will be listening as always. We appreciate you coming on here. Todd, Father, you want to say a nice goodbye? Also, by the way, actually, Suzyn, we did do a fact check. You were wearing a nice
dark blue
shirt,
like violet blue kind of.
Violet blue, yeah. So we did the check.
A cashmere sweater. I have a violet blue cashmere sweater. Only the best for you guys.
It was immaculate as expected. So we just made sure we did a check. Yes, another great outfit. But
Suze, I'll be there May 20th. In the booth with Michael K. I got 4 games, so I'll come over and say hi.
By the way, you're great on the air. I listen.
Thank you.
Listen back at 6:00 in the morning when I get up to take out the dogs.
I love it. Thank you so much.
That's awesome. Thank you, Suzyn. Great to see you.
Okay.
Suzyn Waldman joining us on FT Live. Awesome. That was fun and great insight on the insane career of John Sterling. She is.
Bad day, great day. She's always full of joy.
Loves doing what she's doing. She's a legend. Kratz is going to bounce and go dominate some high school baseball, coaching, not playing, although he could still swing it. Kratz hats, what do you got?
I could not swing it, but
Iron Pigs again.
Well, Iron Pigs, another glow at the park type of hat, but this hat is my favorite. There's a 4th of July one. It doesn't really play throughout the year, but this one plays throughout the year.
That orange and black?
Yeah.
Orange and black.
Does it glow in the dark for real, or is it just look
It doesn't.
like that?
No. It's kind of like that whole the blackout at the park kind of thing, those theme nights, that kind of stuff.
Not happy. He lied to me. He just lied. I'm going with a C-.
Ooh. C- says he's about to coach high school kids.
You're so emotional.
I'm in my hometown. I get emotional.
Yeah. He's got a little extra something here. Go get him, Kratz, and we will see you.
Hey, you better come back with
Friday.
a victory. I'm telling you right now.
Coach my face off.
Hey, right here. Get the telescope out for your 3-hole hitter, just like that.
Also, get some rest. Mike Trout awaits, Ellie De La Cruz, and many others that we're expecting to see tomorrow. Okay?
Love it. Love your jersey, Scotty. Y'all have a good one.
Thank you. You too.
See you, babe.
We will be right back.
Unified Healing is sponsoring this episode of Foul Territory. Unified Healing is an innovative global network of wellness centers powered by Energy Enhancement System, or EE System. This technology promotes wellness and deep relaxation, and there are hundreds of locations across the globe. Interested in experiencing the EE System technology for yourself? Go to unifiedhealing.com/foul to learn more and find a center near you. That's UNIFYD healing.com/FOUL. No material or testimonials on the Unified Healing website are intended to be viewed as medical advice or a substitute for professional medical advice, diagnosis, or treatment. Always seek the advice of your physician or other qualified healthcare provider with any questions you may have regarding a medical condition or treatment and before undertaking a new healthcare regimen, including EE System.
We back. let's flip to some other yesterday's action.
What are we going to talk about?
Also, by the way, we are watching Jack Leiter's outing while we do this, as others are as well. It's not going great.
No.
Take the over on the first 5. It's a 9-run.
Take the over on everything.
Through 3, yeah. Not through 3, top 3.
I was taking a peek as we were watching. So the first inning looked pretty good. I guess the team's trying to figure out his fastball's getting hit and he's not locating that changeup as well right now. So
we're going to spend some time once he gets through that outing. So by the time we get later in the show, we'll give you a little breakdown of what we're looking at. So in the meantime, the Baltimore Orioles, good at ball, great offense. You know who's having a hot start? Cedric Mullins.
That's why
with the big dinger yesterday.
Go ahead. I was going to interrupt you before, but we went to the Dodgers.
Yeah.
I was going to put Cedric Mullins to hit a home run yesterday. It was at plus 830. It was at plus 830, and I'm telling you right now.
Why did you feel Cedric Mullins?
I don't know. I just saw him having a bat, and I was looking on the screen. I'm like, he's got this. He's going to do it. And I just didn't pull the trigger.
I mean, he's a great outfielder. He made that insane catch, what was it, maybe 3-4 days ago.
Yep.
Got another dinger added to the list. And this is why you have the best problem in baseball. Too many good hitters with 4 or 5 guys marinating in the minor leagues that would be on a major league roster on many other teams.
And, I mean, 3 home runs in the last how many games as a team? 3 plus. Was it 3 home runs the last 3 games?
So it's the 5th straight game
where
the Orioles have hit 3 or more homers, tied for the second longest streak in history going back to 1900. 1800s, you know, the stat guy was a little off. Like sometimes he was drinking too much during games, so I don't know. But the Orioles can swing it. They look like the most complete team
they do.
maybe in the league, and they are definitely the deepest team lineup-wise because there's so many guys waiting in the wings in case there's problems, and you know how it works during a major league season. Would you want to be drafted by this team nowadays?
No.
That's what I figured.
No. It's like the Yankees of old. The guy that got the shortstop got drafted for the Yankees. He played AAA for how many years when Jeter was there? So it's starting to be like that, of course. But, I mean, Gunnar Henderson's going off. He's leading off and just dropping nukes. I mean, it's fun to watch. You see the excitement in the ballpark.
Mm-hmm. There's
fans there from first pitch on. It's not like, they're trickling in 3rd inning and looks back. Fans are there and they're ready to rock, man. And I'm very excited to watch this team and, see them play even more better teams.
Yep.
Play the Yankees. I can't wait to see those series coming up. So it's going to be a fun year for the AL East, and never know what's going to happen. But this Orioles team is legit.
Yeah, they get the extra pick last year because of Gunnar Henderson winning Rookie of the Year. So, for example, if they select the shortstop, he'd be like, damn it. Like, I'm not playing short, and I might not even make it up to the bigs for an extra period of time, or I'm getting traded for some ace.
Yeah, and it just depends. Like, some teams go for best available. Some teams go for young pitchers. But if you're drafting and it's between like a really good shortstop or a really good pitcher, I think you go with the arm. Just because of what they have for the next 8-10 years, hopefully.
Yeah, you're saying there's such a logjam right now.
Yeah.
Go grab some arms.
And they have a couple in AAA, I mean, that are just waiting.
A ton.
Waiting in the wings.
And you're right about Gunnar. I mean, I think last year was a slow start for him, and then he really picked it up. Yes, I'm 99% sure. But he's right now at 288, 6 homers, 15 RBIs, 346 on base, 177 OPS plus. I mean, that's your guy. That's your stud shortstop right there, right?
Sign him long term.
He didn't have much pop to start the year. People were like, is he okay? Is this guy for real? Yeah, he won Rookie of the Year unanimous. The quality of the at-bats were always there for him too. So I think he really started picking it up in June. But is this team the best in baseball?
Right
Number
now,
1?
I would say for sure. There is.
Right, if you're doing Todd Father power rankings at the very moment, is this the most complete team?
Man.
Atlanta just lost Strider. Obviously, they're still good, and that offense is sick. But
I would say right now, yes.
Okay.
Because of injuries. I think they're the best team too. I think they're the best team. I would say complete just because of other injuries, but as of right now, they are the best team. The way they're playing, the way how cohesive of a unit they are, and just what they bring to the table. Every guy that comes up is like, oh, this guy. There's no breathing room. This team is a solid team from top to bottom, and they got some guns waiting. And I don't mean to say it again. They have a lot of kids waiting in the wings in case somebody does not play well. So it's actually a good thing. There's pressure from below. All right, I got to start doing well, and they're all doing pretty well from what it looks like.
They're 12-6. I don't remember what the exact number was, but we were encouraging people to take the over on the win total for Baltimore because it was a little low. It was like,
Yep.
I want to say in the low 90s, maybe like 91 or 2.
We'll have to look back.
This team looks better than last year. They should win 100 games, right? I know it's the AL East. It's not easy, but you play the division a little bit less. I think the Red Sox are going to fall off, especially with all this pitching that's going down for them. They're going to win 100 games, right?
I think they're on the pace for sure.
I'd be pretty surprised if they don't win 100 games at this point. By the way, yeah, we will add to the table here any fans that have requests of players that you want us to say hello to tomorrow on the field. We'll do our best to say a quickie hello, but there's priority.
Of course.
Mr. Trout.
We want the big guns on there first.
We do. All right, next up from yesterday, the Minnesota Twins are not in cruise control in the AL Central. Our friend Aaron Gleeman, who covers the team for The Athletic, put this tweet out. The Twins lineup is hitting 193. It's the second lowest through 17 games for any American League team in the past 50 years. The only other team with that weak of a batting average was the 2003 Detroit Tigers. They ended up at 43 and 119. Obviously, the Twins are not bad. It's just not looking like people thought it would. I think there was a lot of hype about the offense in the offseason. There's still a lot of swing and miss. There's I would say, higher injury concern with some of their bats. Correa's on the shelf right now. Royce Lewis is on the shelf right now. Byron Buxton is often on the shelf. When I talk to you about the core, like who's the guys, that is the core. They are pretty injury prone. And then, the quote role players that they felt like had to step up and where there was a logjam, they're not necessarily getting done right now. It's a lot of swing and miss, right? Like they traded Jorge Polanco away because they didn't have a spot for him in their mind to play every day. It's not working for them at the moment, but it's 2.5 weeks.
Yeah, and we say it's 2.5 weeks, but the season comes on quick. I talk about morale. The morale of the team right now is not good. I mean, you're batting there. You're coming into the stadium, and you're like, somebody needs to pick us up. Instead of being like, all right, let's go out there and find this W and let's get after it. It's tough to be in the clubhouse. It's just one of those things where your two top dogs are on the shelf. I mean, how much can they help? They can only talk to you. Hey, listen, they can't swing. So frustrating. They do strike out a lot. They're very strikeout prone. It's one of those things where when are they going to get going? And it doesn't seem like anytime soon.
I think we overhyped them a little bit. We didn't overhype. Right. I'm saying the industry did.
It's one of those
we were lukewarm on them.
I would say this. Sorry to interrupt you.
No, you're good.
I would say, it's the Twins. They're going to be there at the end because that's how it's been for the past couple of years.
Yeah, they're 6-11,
and I think we kind of like overlooked that kind of talk and just assumed. But they did lose Sonny Gray. They lost a couple guys, Polanco, like you said. So it's like key cogs that'll get them going, and now they're injured. So it's like, did we just kind of like push them over a little bit just to make an assumption about what they will be?
And their rotation is good, especially at the top. Pablo Lopez is a stud. Joe Ryan looks really good to start the year. Bailey Ober's serviceable. There's Varland and Paddock towards the back end. Paddock still has kind of the same concerns where the changeup's great and not seeing the rest of the pitches kind of work the way you would expect them to when he first entered the league. Always loved the cowboy boots. Bullpen's great, but they've been through some injuries. I'm not sure where Duran is at with his recovery, but it'd be nice to get him back. But it's really about the offense.
Yeah. And if you can't hit, you're not going to win, man. batting 193 as a professional organization, that's tough. As a hitting coach, too, you're sitting there like, damn, all right, what do we need to do here?
The Twins and the Guardians have complete opposite approaches to how they value talent. The Guardians have been criticized for being too contact obsessed.
Mm-hmm.
And there's a few guys that they've let go recently that they're regretting. Nolan Jones, Will Benson.
Yep.
On the other end, you have the Twins, and they're like, we're going to strike out, but if we have plate discipline, if we take our walks and we have pop and we encourage our dudes to pull baseballs in the air for homers, we'll be good. You need a little bit of variety. I'm not going to say they miss Luis Arraez, but a little more contact in there would be nice.
Put the ball in play. And I think that goes a little bit like a little cliche, put the ball in play, good things will happen. But if you're striking out so much, there's got to be something else you have to do. You know, Pete Rose said it. There's a couple things when you're struggling. Move back in the box, move up, move towards the plate, move away from the plate, choke up, come down on the back. Like little things. Start with little things, and hopefully you can catch a break, and they're not catching any.
Patrick in the chat said the Twins have an 80 weighted runs created plus as a team. Only the Marlins and the White Sox are worse, and their strikeout percentage is at 27.4%. It's way too much swing and miss. If Kratz was on here, he'd be bragging about how he hammers the strikeout props against
exactly.
the Twins. We know. Let's do one more before our next guest. Marcell Ozuna is swinging a freaking hot bat.
Ooh.
But Mike Petriello put out his speed numbers. You see where he's at with sprint speed in the league. And I'm only pointing this out also because he used to be fast, and this is called the natural age decline. This is how life works.
It happened to me.
Did it? Did you ever?
But I was never fast.
Right.
I had sneaky steal.
You had sprint speed for probably not your whole career, but part of it for StatCast. Did you remember when that came about?
Until I got to the minor leagues. I don't remember anything about it.
When you came to the minor leagues?
Listen.
Dude, what was your stolen base high?
I had 20 one year in 2015.
Yeah.
No, it was great. I had this walking lead, though. Anthony Rizzo uses. He gives me love and respect for it. What's his name came on and said that, too, as well, from the Twins. Who do we have? One of the coaches on there.
Jace Tingler talking about it?
Yes. I think it was him or whatever.
I know what you're talking about, though.
But, yeah, he's on a big decline.
And he was never a stolen base machine. He was no Todd father. I mean, he's
kind of got
career
that
high
run
was
where
12.
he's like swiveling a little bit, like it's. But hey, if you're hitting, nobody cares. It's pretty funny to see that. But
yeah,
if you're hitting, you might have to slide in a second instead of stand up on usual stand up doubles. Whatever.
He looks like a DH.
It is what it is.
He's 2 percentile for the podcast crowd, in case you want to hear. Yeah, Todd Father career stolen base is 73.
I'll take that.
That's more than Marcell. But my point was, in 2015, he was 82nd percentile. Like he was in the top 20% of speed in the league, and still hung around there until around 20. After the 2020 season, he became a very, very below average runner. But I don't know. It was just funny to see the age curve over time there. All right. Our next guest is ready to go right now, covers the San Francisco Giants for NBC Sports Bay Area. Alex Pavlovic joining us right now for a little Giants conversation. You can also listen to his show, Giants Talk, the podcast that he runs. Give that a follow as well. Alex, great to have you on, man. How is life for the San Francisco Giants right now?
It's been okay. I don't think they played very good baseball. They're probably a little disappointed with the way they've handled things at the plate so far. But I mean, it's early, so I think they're not too worried. They've been healthy, which is good. Haven't gotten much out of their big offseason additions yet. So I think it's been like just kind of flatline a little bit early on, like a little mediocre for them. But the good thing for them right now is they're not anywhere close to buried in their division.
Let's talk a little bit. Luke Jackson expected to return in late April. A little back problems. I mean, you got some guys that are injured. You got Blake Snell just coming on. He didn't have much spring training. So can that be part of it? Or you just think it's one of those things where he's a pro's pro, everything's going to be fine?
With Blake, yeah, I think, he got there late and he tried to face the Double-A team a couple times. And in one of them, I think he pitched 4 innings, struck out 11, and just wasn't getting any feedback. So when we were at Dodger Stadium a couple weeks ago, we faced some of his teammates. But he's basically going through spring training at the big league level right now, which is difficult for anybody, and especially someone who's been a slow starter in the past. We saw even last year, pretty slow in April and into May for him. So I think he's trying to find himself right now. And it's tough when you're running 3-ball counts on everybody and you're doing it at the big league level and then trying to get out of those jams, without your best stuff. So I think for him, that's what we've seen the first 2 times.
Alex, I love Jordan Hicks and the project, and they talked to him in the offseason. They're like, yo, sign with us. We'll put you in the rotation. We'll just let it ride. This is great. But I would love to see it in the playoffs too.
Yeah.
There's no way that he's going to go, 180 innings in his first season in a new contract long-term with the Giants. So I know there's big names coming back in the second half, like a Robbie Ray and hopefully Alex Cobb somewhat soon. We'll get into that. But first off, with Jordan Hicks, what is the exact plan that either they've talked about or that you think that they will play out with him?
If they have a plan, they haven't told us. I'm sure they've told him and gone over that with him. But it is a really good point. I think his career high is like 78, 83 innings or something like that. So first of all, he's a guy who wants to do this. I think he has a lot of comfortability with doing this right now. And that's part of the reason he's been able to make the transition so easy. And, the first time out, he went 5 innings and he felt like he had more in the tank. And we've seen him dial it back a little bit since then and make sure he can get through some of these early innings. So I think he's comfortable with this. But yeah, to your point, when you're a team, you look at it. And the thing is, it's not just him. I mean, Kyle Harrison as well, who started the season as their number 2 guy and is in the rotation, should be in the rotation all year. He also is probably going to be up against an innings issue at some point. So I think if you would ask them, they would probably say the solution there is Alex Cobb and Robbie Ray. But you also have to figure out what to do with the other guys and whether that's backing them down a little bit in May. Maybe they go to a 6-man rotation at some point in the second half if they get healthy and stay healthy. But right now, I think they're going to ride those guys and they'll figure this out in the second half. And they do feel good about Cobb. And everything I've heard, seems pretty positive with Robbie Ray as well.
Yeah, that was going to be my next question. Do you have any updates on their progress here? And then talk about that real quick.
Yeah, Alex, he had just felt a little something in his elbow. He called it a baby setback when we talked to him last week. And they're just being really careful right now. So he threw a bullpen session earlier this week. I think we're probably looking at maybe mid-May for him, maybe late May, a little bit closer to the original time frame as he was coming back from hip surgery. He was like months ahead of that. So ultimately, they haven't really been set back. And this is something they're planning for anyway. And I think the key here is Keaton Winn has thrown really well in that number 5 spot. So they can take their time with Alex and make sure that when he comes back that he's fully healthy. I mean, this is a guy who's thrown a lot of innings at the big league level, who's dealt with a lot of injuries. So I think he's somebody that you want in the second half. You want him ready to go.
How excited are they about the Robbie Ray pickup? I thought it was great, Alex, when we broke it down in the offseason, because in my mind, it was mostly a money dump for the Mariners. And I know they got Haniger out of it, but they were very steadfast on kind of shifting the balance of how much money they were spending on pitching versus hitting. And I mean, I think he's going to be great when he comes back. He's coming off a conventional Tommy John surgery. I know he's had injuries in the past, but it's a guy who can bring swing and miss. And definitely if he looks like he did from a couple years ago, that's a playoff starter for the team.
Yeah, it's somebody when they got him. I mean, we did a Zoom call with Farhan Zaidi right after that, and he said this is kind of the long-term number 2 for Logan Webb. And obviously a lot's changed since then. I mean, they're hopeful that Kyle Harrison can be that guy as well. Jordan Hicks right now looks like the best pitcher on the staff. So, and then they end up going and getting Blake Snell as well. But initially, as they were getting into this offseason, before everything they did in spring training, that was one of their big moves. That was maybe their biggest move, and somebody who they're hopeful is here for the long haul, and that they feel pretty good about the rehab and the way he's coming back. And I think it's similar to Alex Cobb, that there's not going to be any pressure on him to show up on, July 10th or July 17th or whatever it is. If he needs another extra couple weeks, they have the rotation depth, I think, to make that work. And so far, it's been all positive for him.
I want to go to the farm a little bit, talk about Reggie Crawford. He just joined AA and sorry, drew a blank on the team there, but he's from what I heard, he's everybody's thinking this is the next guy, man. The execs say they're blown away by what he's done. Talk a little about him and what you expect of him in the future.
A really interesting prospect. I mean, they drafted him initially as a 2-way guy, and they let him try that last year as he was recovering from his own surgery, but just didn't get on the mound much. He was hitting, once every week or so. They let him try it in the fall league as well, and I think that was maybe the final straw there, where they realized this guy's potentially a frontline starter, and at the very least, I mean, he's a lefty who is throwing 98, 99. So at the very least, you have probably a dominant reliever. So they made him just a pitcher this year, and he did have an injury in the spring, which kept him from being part of this group of young guys who was there in camp. But he's in Double-A. He got there a couple days ago, and first time out, 1 inning, a clean inning. He was throwing 98, 99. I mean, he's just a big guy, a physical guy, somebody they have high hopes for down the line. And I think they're pretty excited to see that he's at Double-A already. And he made pretty quick work of A-ball hitters last year. So they're going to test him out and see how this works and see, how quickly he can progress. But definitely somebody, I think, when you just see the physicality of him, and this being in a box, I mean, anyone from the left side who throws that hard is going to have a pretty good shot in the big leagues.
I'm going to bring in a fan question or two, Alex, before you jump. So Davis said, can you get Alex's thoughts on the elephant in the room, Matos and Luciano? Because he said he's struggling to watch Yaz right now.
I don't know that it's an elephant in the room. I think it's two different situations for him. I hear it every day from the fans. But Matos has gotten off to a little bit of a slow start in AAA. He had a very good spring. But look, Bob Melvin's going to be patient with Yastrzemski and Slater in the outfield. And these guys have track records. These guys still have elite skills. Slater has been very good against lefties in his career. Yastrzemski is their best defensive right fielder. I think about as good as anybody who's handled right field at Oracle Park, which can be a little bit tricky. So I think they're going to be patient with those guys. And then Luciano, he's gotten off to a better start. He was the one who had the rough spring, and that allowed Nick Ahmed to take that job. And Nick Ahmed's been pretty good. I mean, he's at the bottom of the lineup, and they're not asking a lot of him offensively, but defensively, he's been one of the better defensive shortstops early on, and I think they feel pretty solid about that. So they might look at the last couple of weeks and the offensive struggles, and at some point try to shake things up here. But I think right now they feel like they can ride this out.
One more for you, and then it sounds like some
baby
domination in the background.
So yeah, apologies.
But, you got to change.
No, you're fine. You're fine.
Change.
We love all of that. We had Suzyn Waldman's dog barking and getting involved in the last interview that we did. So we're all about it, Alex. Like this is real life.
In baseball, you reverse it. During the day, you take care of the kid, and then at night we go to the park. So this is how we're doing it right now.
That's a good call. Okay, so then last one, and then back to baby duties. Big picture question.
Yeah.
What have you seen from the org that's different this year with Bob Melvin, or at least that you've heard, right? Even just in terms of a post-game conversation versus what you saw in the past several years with Gabe Kapler?
That's a great question. I think, Gabe and his staff, they were about getting a different edge every single day and trying new things. And, it could be something that is more common, maybe like platooning and openers and bullpen games. And then it could be something you wouldn't see, where they were always keeping an eye on the infielders to see if they could, get an edge with an infielder who had his heel on the grass, and they could challenge that. So that was something that was just day by day with them. I mean, we got pretty used to Gabe doing this 3 or 4 times a game, trying to see if they could get an edge just in challenging plays. I think Bob's much more traditional. And I think, we've seen that during games. They don't challenge as much. They don't try to do as many little things. They stick to what has worked for him in his career. And I think the main thing for him has just been the lineups. Like he's running the same group out there, basically, even though they haven't really scored much. He's running these guys out there and not platooning as much. And they feel, like it's track record with these guys. So I think that's the main thing we've seen from him, is just a little bit more traditional use there. And also in the rotation, I mean, they're going to stick with their starters as opposed to the last couple of years where, we would go a week sometimes where we'd have 3 bullpen games. And it was a little jarring to the fan base. So I think that's been the biggest change.
Alex, thank you for swinging by. Appreciate the time. And for everyone, on the national audience here that hasn't seen Alex's work, go check it out at Pavlovic NBCS and check out his show, The Giants Talk Pod. Thank you, Alex. Appreciate it, man.
Thanks, guys.
Well, Giants talk. And, last year we went over how the team was, in my mind, boring. Like they were borderline. They were close to being a playoff team. They were in the race for most of the year. They fell off a little bit towards the end. They also didn't do anything at the trade deadline, which I think always hurts, right? You're telling your team, hey, we're going to look to do something. They're in the range for a third wild card spot, and they just come up completely empty at the deadline. And yeah, like Alex mentioned, it was platoon action. We've gone over how they were basically going with 2 starters, Logan Webb and Alex Cobb, and then everything else was mixing and matching. In my mind, even if it does work, I do hope that's not what baseball looks like with most teams. It's just not a good watch. It's not. I mean, I gave it a chance, and it's like, if I'm watching that, here, I'll give you the example. If I'm watching San Francisco Giants ball last year, in the second half especially, versus watching the Mariners, and they were frustrating on offense, but I'd watch a lot of Mariners games. I'm getting 7 innings of Luis Castillo. I'm getting Logan Gilbert. I'm getting George Kirby, who's one of my favorite, maybe my favorite pitcher to watch right now because he freaking dots it.
Yeah.
That versus I'd flip over to a Giants game, and it's the next man up. They're freaking optioning dudes left and right, bringing in the next dude. And it's a bullpen game. It's a tandem start. Like, and then Kyle Harrison would pitch, and you're like, all right, here's 5 innings. This dude's striking everyone out. Like, for me, I was thinking from an entertainment standpoint, it's just not a good look. So I was kind of like, I hope this doesn't work because I don't want other teams to copy this. And I don't even want the Giants to do this anymore.
No, it's low energy. It's just kind of like, oh, this is the new thing, so let's kind of do it. I mean, I give them credit here. Playing in San Francisco, if you're opposing team, it's tough. It's a tough ballpark. It's tough to get used to with the marine climate, whatever you call it out there. The ball doesn't travel as far. You got to hit in the jet stream. But it's one of those where you go there, you're like, all right, I can't wait to get the heck out of here. I don't know. The energy's kind of down. It is what it is. They do have a good ball club. I'm rooting for them. I play with a couple guys on that team. And, with new management and everything else, hopefully they can light a fire under this team's ass.
Mm-hmm. It's a tough division, but the Dodgers aren't off to a roaring start.
Yeah.
I think the Padres are playing better than most people anticipated. Yeah. I think the Diamondbacks are really tough.
They're good.
They're really good.
Never quit team. So
they're not. Yeah, there's clutch, a lot of clutch in that lineup. Corbin Carroll's off to kind of a meh start, but we know that's not going to stick.
That's fine. Everybody else
fast
is
as lightning. Yeah. And Ketel Marte, I think, is actually becoming one of the more underrated players.
Underrated, for
sure. Do you remember how much of a force he was in the playoffs last year? And then this year, I feel like no one's talking about him again. It's clutch hit after clutch hit,
Agreed.
How do you feel, just swing it over to a different team on the other side, but we talked about him a little bit earlier this week. When do you start to press the panic button about the Astros?
Man,
JV's coming back.
They're playing good.
That's once every 5 days.
They've played the Braves. They're playing good teams. So it's like, all right, let's not panic just yet. Let's give them a little more time here to see where they can go with it because they are the Astros at the end of the day. They do have some good ball players. I mean, you think about here's my thing with the whole thing. Your bullpen was pretty much solidified. Okay, you bring Hader in.
Yeah.
And now they're saying he's the closer, but at the end of the day, like it's still gonna raise some eyebrows. You had Presley there. I mean, it's not the same as coming in the 8th inning and the 9th inning. I don't care what you say. So it does change a bunch of things. They had a nice, clean bullpen that was pretty much unhittable. And you bring another guy, which isn't a bet. Any team would take him, don't get me wrong. But I don't know. It changes a little bit. So they're going to have to get used to all these different things that they're doing.
It's the problem in the offseason was bullpen depth. And we loved the Hader pickup. And he'll be fine. I know he's off to a slow start, too. I think he needs to throw his fastball more. We talked to Corbin Burns about that the other day. They lost a lot of dudes from that bullpen. Yeah. There was some good veteran depth there, and they signed elsewhere.
They did.
They
did. So it's just one of those where, some guys aren't hitting either. My boy Jose Abreu needs to step up a little bit, brother. He's a cornerstone, a guy that lost it a little bit.
A lot. There's a lot of talk about him right now. They're like, I was looking at, I think it was Chandler Rome writing about him, and they're like, they always go, oh, just got to look at the back of the baseball card. They're like, you can't say that for 2 years.
Yeah, the second year you're like, all right, give him one just because of who he is and what he's done.
You paid him big bucks
Yeah,
to be
you
there.
paid him big bucks. So it's like the second year, it's like, all right, what's going on here now? So
do you know what his numbers look like right now?
I don't, but I know they're not good.
4 for 51 to start the year.
Oh,
so he's 0.78. He's homerless. He's got one ribby, and he's playing. They've moved him down in the order, but the spots are finding him. It's a big spot in the game, and it's like, all right, here comes Abreu in the 7 hole or wherever he's been, I think 7th or 8th. And like, damn, this is the spot where we need a knock.
Start asking some questions, man.
He's struggling. The Astros have been known to stick with their guys. Dusty Baker did that too.
Yep, Dusty loves his veteran guys.
Remember, what was it, 2 years ago with Yuli Gurriel? He stuck with him, and then actually came up pretty clutch in the playoffs for them when they won the World Series a couple of years ago.
Yep.
But for Abreu, he wasn't good last year. I know he got a little better in the second half, but he was a below-average offensive player. 87 OPS plus last year.
Man.
Right now it's at -23, which I didn't even know was possible, but it is. You learn something new.
We'll see. Sample size as we talk about, but we'll see.
All right, let's get to the Jack Leiter Rangers debut against the Detroit Tigers. It is time for your MLB 9 innings, a 24 stat breakdown. So he just got taken out, and it's been a high-scoring affair on both sides in that game. But the first inning went okay for him.
2 strikeouts, I think.
Yeah, you kind of got the nerves, in check. Yeah, it was a 3-pitch strikeout, gave up a knock, strikeout, walk, and a fly ball out.
Yeah.
His day is done after 3 2/3. He gives up 8 hits, 7 earned runs, 3 walks, 3 punch outs. Did get 10 swings and misses. He touched 97. He was lighting up the PCL on the strikeout numbers. And it's so weird how a guy can kind of progress and change from the college ranks to the pros and now obviously to the show. This was a command and control guy, and he picked up punch outs at Vandy, but I think when you would listen to the scouts projecting what he was going to look like, they were like, this dude's going to be low walks. He's going to dot the zone. Actually, I mean, not George Kirby, but you thought more along the lines of someone like that. And then he goes through significant command and control issues for multiple seasons down in the minor leagues, gets called up here at age, whatever it was, 23 or 24, whatever I said the other day. He's about to turn 24, I think. And, at least in his first start, it ends up being a rough day for him.
Yeah, I think when you go to the minor league, so instead of in college, you're facing 3 or 4 really good guys, and then it kind of teeters off. You're facing the best of the best here. And then when you get to the big leagues, you're facing the best of that best. So I think it was a learning experience the first couple of years. I think he was figuring out himself. I think it's one of those things where it's not all going to be blowing guys away. He had to figure out his changeup a little more, his off-speed pitches, throw him more for strikes. I think at the end here, watching this, Tavares actually whiffed on a ball here. Should have been 3 unearned runs. Didn't feel for the fence. But, yeah, his fastball was getting hit. His changeup wasn't all there, but this is your first outing. It's okay. He's going to be just fine. He throws mid to high 90s all the time. His ball needs a little more movement on that fastball, and I think he's just going to be just fine. He retired 7 straight guys at one point, and watching his dad and his mother there, man, this must be a really good moment for them. So take this first start with a grain of salt, move on, make the adjustments. Remember, this is the best of the best. Doesn't care if it's the worst team in the league or the best. You're going to get hit in some days, and it's how you come back from it.
Yeah, and our friend Toasty in the chat said he looked decent. I know this last inning when he gave up a few runs, maybe a little bit of luck involved there. But he said really no control of the secondary pitches at all. J.J. Cooper has been following Jack very closely and said that there was a massive difference between, he split the upper half and the bottom half of the zone. And he said fastballs up are playing super well for him. He started pumping those fastballs up in the minors and getting elite results. Fastballs down getting crushed. I think we saw one get crushed by, who was it, Riley Green maybe?
Yep, it was
early on in the game.
And it was actually a ball too, but for a lefty right down middle in, it's kind of a good spot for those guys. So,
yep.
Listen, first game, get it out of the way. You're a big leaguer. I hope he doesn't take this to heart and understand how good he really is. Just go out there and keep doing what you're doing. They know how good he's going to be.
Okay. What do you think of the Rangers as a whole right now? I mean, we've gone over the fact that they're dealing with injuries, but they still have the Rocks in the lineup. I still think we don't talk about Adolis Garcia enough on a national scale, and how he was not really hyped at all and was available for any team to pick up, and he was a freaking star. I mean, he was a legend in October last year.
When I was with the Rangers, and it was 2020, the COVID year, and every time he walked by me, I'm like, yo, this is Mike Tyson right here. He's a freaking pit bull. This guy, he walk over, hey, Frazier, how you doing? Like, he's got that deep voice.
Yeah.
And every time I see him, he give me a big hug, and I'm like, we do the inter squads and all that stuff, and he'd hit a ball. I'm like, oh, I got to move back a little bit on third base. I thought he was going to bunt at first because I didn't know much about him.
Yeah, well, and what were people saying about him? He wasn't really
they're like
a
our
nobody.
organization. Guys like, just watch out for this kid. Watch out. He's going to be something. Watch out. I'm like, all right. They say that about a lot of people.
Yeah.
A lot of teams do. But the way the ball came off the bat and the noise that comes off the bat, I'm like, he's got it. He's got it. I didn't know how good he was going to be, but he just stepped up to the challenge and took off like a rocket, man.
The concern was swing and miss, right? They were like, they're like, this dude hits rockets, but is he going to make enough contact?
He's got a home run again today.
Yeah. Answer, yes.
Yeah, yeah, exactly. I don't care about the swing and miss. The guy produces, and he's got that clutch gene.
Yep. And I love the way they built the team. I mean, they brought in the two Rocks in Marcus Semien and Corey Seager for the long term. And then Chris Young has really emphasized pitching, and more pitching.
Yeah.
Oh, we feel like we have 7 starters? Let's go get an 8th.
Yeah.
Because half of them are going to be on the shelf within the first 5 minutes. It's just how the modern game works. You have to prepare yourself for a marathon. And I do feel like the Rangers have done that well. Like, they might have the longest list of significant injuries, or not significant, but the longest list of injuries in the league right now to impact players.
Yeah.
They've got to be up there. Help me out in the chat. Like, teams right now, through the first few weeks of the season, that are missing some big names, they have to be up there. And yeah, it's not a great start for them, but they're fine. Like, I don't think anybody's watching them like, uh-oh,
no.
what's wrong with the Rangers?
Nope, not at all.
They also have done a nice job of drafting, developing. They did a nice job of
Evan
selecting.
Carter, I mean, the guy.
Yeah, Evan Carter, holy crap.
Took off, and now he's batting 3 or 4 hole now. So it's like,
he was so good in the playoffs last year, and I remember when he was picked, people were like, oh, I had him way further back in my mock draft. What are they doing?
Whatever.
Nailed it. Wyatt Langford, who was super hyped, but they end up with him. Nailed it. At least for now. I know it's early.
Hurt. I mean, so they got.
Josh Young's hurt. Yep.
So they got some guys waiting. They'll be just fine. They stay right here, they'll be fine. DeGrom's injured. Scherzer. I mean, they got guys that DeGrom probably might not even come back this year. So
really,
I mean, from the top. I mean, the
have
second
you been keeping in touch
John,
with him?
I haven't recently.
Okay.
I did send him some pictures of me hitting a home run off him. He still hasn't texted me back. So I like to keep him in check.
Yeah, you promised at one point we get a DeGrominator appearance. Does that have to happen when he's back?
I think so, yeah.
Most guys don't like to talk when they're hurt, right?
Pretty strange, but whatever. It's all good.
What, to get him?
That they don't talk. It's all good.
What were you like that? I mean, if you were feeling it,
no, I would try.
And someone was like, "Hey, can you come on my show for 10 minutes?"
Yeah, no, I would come on.
Yeah.
9 times.
Why are some guys like that? Because they don't want to talk about the update on their injury. Like,
I guess,
for media,
yeah,
whatever you want to call this, when you bring a guy on, obviously we're going to ask, also as a human being, like, how you feeling?
Yeah.
Like, just like if I saw Joe Schmo on the street and he had a freaking arm in a sling, I'd say, hey, how you feeling?
Yeah.
Why is there a problem?
They want to hide everything when we already know you're not going to be pitching for
a minute,
months and months on end. So that's just people being weird. I don't know. It is what it is.
Some guys do, but yeah, I don't get that. I don't really see what the point is. Tyler Glasnow's been good with that. Walker Buehler. There's some guys around the league that went through long-term injuries, and you'd still see them pop up. Sure, I don't think they necessarily want to be hosting their own show every day, but to do an interview here and there, not that big of a deal. Last one I want to call out with the Rangers while we're talking about him is Jonah Heim too. Just, in my mind, not talked about enough.
Yep.
Clutch, great defender. Great game caller, good pitch framer.
Kratz loves him.
He does, right? Yeah. That's one of his guys.
And then not many talk about him. We got that slow little Will Clark, and then boom. So think he's got a home run today too, if I'm not mistaken.
Heim does too.
The guy is quietly, really quietly taking off in that catcher position and hitting, being a good hitter too as well. So like him a lot.
Also, Max Scherzer is looking at early May for his return and could start rehab outings next week.
Oh, wow.
Hey.
That's really good.
Yeah.
And he'll be hopefully 100%, close to it.
Hopefully.
That's a really
He's
good
been
sign.
doing it for a long time at max level, max effort.
And I'll take him any day of the week at any age.
Yeah. I mean, he made it back for them in the playoffs last year. It wasn't the max of old, but we'll see. All right. Check out MLB 9 Innings 24. You can scan the QR code on the screen and download MLB 9 Innings 24 for free. Get the best baseball game in the palm of your hands, all the latest from the 2024 season. And we have a little clip, a little trailer that they put together. They probably lead baseball in their ads, so you know there's going to be a big name in there. Let's check it out.
Dang. That swing is almost as good as mine.
Yeah? You think you still got it? All you. See what you got. Wow, not bad. For only one MVP. Here's how a 3-time winner does it. Watch this. You see that?
That's cute. Call me when you get to 6:30. Ooh, it don't take long for this car to warm up.
Okay, watch this.
Oh, not bad if you like that kind of stuff. Your team charter don't travel that far.
Ain't nothing. Look, it's still going.
Man, you was better in instruction league. That's all you got? Still got it.
Whatever.
See, I told you.
Think you still got it?
That was good.
That honestly, every time I see that, that's one of the best commercials I think I've ever seen.
I had not seen the extended version of that. I saw the 30 or 60-second version.
Dude, that's really good.
That's the full that's the full dance right there.
The kid versus the kid, pretty much, man. And,
yeah.
And I know Ken too. He talks a little smack, and Mike doesn't talk that much. It's like kind of
they're very different.
It's kind of like that slow Southern kind of talk. Like, all right, Frank, all right, yeah.
He's laid back, right?
Ken's like, yeah, whatever. Like it's a perfect combination of each, and they're both two of the best players ever played this game. I think that's really cool.
It's cool that you've gotten to spend a good chunk of time with Mr. Trout. He's
With
not
both
as he's Jersey pride. He's not this level of Jersey pride.
No, he is. Though.
Well, I'm saying
He
because
is.
you're a little
No,
louder than him.
Understood.
With all due respect, you're a little
no,
louder
you're
than
right.
him.
No, don't even.
He's
say
not.
that.
He's not hosting FT Live every day.
I'm loud as hell. I don't give a
right?
shit. No, you're right. But being around both of them, two awesome dudes, two shit talkers in their own way.
Yeah.
And
does Trout is there more behind the scenes where he's like, yo, I don't want to be known as a trash talker.
It's like a cool trash talk. Like yeah.
That's your shirt today.
It's kind of like how he did it there a little bit.
Yeah.
Like with Ken. He's not gonna demean you or anything. He's
like, oh, how many MVPs you got?
Yeah. Like quietly, but in the back of his mind, he's like, oh, did I hurt his feeling? He's
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 super
not
nice.
like me gonna say something and be like, all right, I don't care about the repercussions.
Yep. No, that's fair.
All good.
Well,
All
we're
good.
going to get to see him in person tomorrow. They fly in here at some point tonight.
They should be getting in later on tonight. Yeah.
Yeah. So we'll get to see the Angels and Reds tomorrow. We're going to be on the field before the game to do FT Live there, just like we did at one point last year over at Great American Ballpark. I can basically reach out my arm and touch the ballpark right now. But are you excited to see your boy? When's the last time you saw him?
No, couple
in
of
person.
years. Couple years. Yeah, it's been a while. So I know he's got a lot of stuff going on. New baby, new golf course, new everything. So it's not like he lives 20 minutes away. He's a good hour and 45-minute drive. So going there, it's an all-day affair.
Yeah. He had to build a golf course to lure you in.
Yeah.
Oh, Frazier, you don't want to drive an hour 45? I got a Jordan-level course
I guess I'll
here.
come now.
Yeah, exactly. Let me send a car. I got you.
Yes, exactly.
Yeah. And on the other side, we'll see the Reds. Obviously, cool for you to see this team kind of reemerging again last year. Remember, 2 years ago, hundo something losses. And they turned it around fast. And I remember, they had the super, super slow start in 2022. I'll look up what the exact record was. It was something along the lines of like a 5-20 start. And I had a game during that stretch that I called, and you're sitting with David Bell, and I'm like, this year's going to suck, but I actually think they're going to be okay. You know how it is. If a manager's going through that, it depends on where you are on the scale of your career. A vet is probably like, F this, F that, I'm done. A younger manager's probably freaking out. I would say, obviously David Bell's more on the, lower experience end. I mean, now he's been managing for several years, and I was like, he's pretty calm. He's like, listen, there's a lot of talent coming through very soon, and I'm not just saying that because I'm the manager. This is going to get turned around fast.
And it's hard as a fan, as a manager, to be like, I'm telling you, in the next year or two, it's going to happen. But since everybody's always in the now and the now, what now, it's hard to see in the future. So patience is a virtue, like they say, and good things have happened. They just need, like any other team, the health part. They just need some healthy guys, and they need some guys to step up, and they've been doing pretty good. They had a tough time here in Seattle, but coming back home, get kick-started here a little bit. I mean, your boy De La Cruz, he's doing okay.
Doing okay. He's doing great.
I wanted to see what you would say to that. He's doing awesome.
It's so easy to talk about him when I don't have AJ or Kratz on the show today.
No, it's smooth.
It's nice. I mean, is this good enough? 277, 5 homers, 11 ribbies, 159 OPS plus, hundreds league average. He's on base 36% of the time, slugging 600. I get it. It's early, but he's at a Baseball Reference WAR of 1 already to start the year. And yes, there have been some fielding issues.
That's okay.
Early on.
Okay, we can work through that. Freddie Benavides, let's go. Assistant coach there with the Reds. Get him
Is he
going.
the infield guy?
Yeah. Well, I think he's the right-hand man. So, but he was our head coordinator with the Reds when I was there. Now he's up with the big team. Great guy, flashy. He always tried to get me. I got to get you the Latin way, how to feel the ball. I said, no, I'm good. I'm good the way I feel it. You don't worry about me and my ways I feel.
What he wanted you to be?
He's like, a little more flashier,
Yeah.
I'm like, I'll get him out.
No like I'll do that on the bat flip.
Yeah, all good.
Yeah, but Ellie looks great in all seriousness for this team right now. I mean, obviously, I don't know. He's gonna go through it, most likely.
Yes,
based on how
he's not going
built
down
as a hitter.
He's batting under 150.
Enough of that. Yeah,
the guy's gonna be fine.
Him and probably Spencer Steer.
And
I mean, without looking at the stats, they're probably their best bats right now.
The best part is, it's not like Ellie De La Cruz, the show like this from last year. Like I think the
hype,
the nerves and the hype have come down a little bit. I think that's going to help him a little bit too as well.
Everyone was talking about him his first month or so. Also, he was doing something insane every day.
Yeah.
But
then all of a sudden he struggled. Like, he shouldn't bat right-handed. Just let him play.
Yeah.
Let him be himself.
But the base running, I think, is what stood out because you're not used to seeing a guy that tall,
runs like a gazelle,
run that fast, and also be that aggressive on the bags.
No doubt.
Stealing home and popping to another base when the fly ball is pretty shallow in the outfield, and you're like, you're watching, you're like, yo, this is so shallow, but is he going to go?
In the making,
I don't know. So he's super fun to watch for the game. So Draymond in the chat said Reds infield offense outside of Ellie's batting 170. Well, this is why I was worried about them coming into the year.
Yeah.
Matt McClain's out. Big fan. That hurts. Noel B. Marte's out.
Oof.
Got popped.
Matty McClain,
You're missing your big young bats there.
Yes, you are.
But anyway, Steer's been great for them. All right, let's wrap it up here. We'll give you a little preview of what's coming up next on the FT network. Let's slap. Just ripping up our set.
I'm ready to take some batting practice.
Tomorrow, man. Just bring that bat on the field.
It's a giveaway bat, isn't it?
It is.
Yeah. To one lucky fan.
Read it. It has a nice little note on it.
Oh, somebody signed it. It said 2015. Oh, watch out.
Hey.
Home run derby champ. I know somebody who did that.
That's nice. That's nice. We'll do a little giveaway. Also, Fair Territory is up for the world to consume. It was live earlier, right before the show started, with Ken and Alana Rizzo. We covered a lot of Mets talk yesterday, so we let them take that over as the Mets have been surging, and now they're opening up a series against the Dodgers. They went over some Dodger struggles as well. I watched that show right before we started here. There was a very early trade deadline question from a fan, but Ken jumped in a little bit. You look at who the free agents are and which teams are struggling. So make sure you check that out right now. It is wherever you get your pods. It's also right here on the FT YouTube channel. And the next episode will debut on Monday. But Thursday's show just happened. And then right after this, we're a couple minutes away from Dodgers territory with Alana Rizzo and Clint Pasillas. We talked about him earlier. Dodgers just lost a series to the Nats. I don't want to go too crazy on this, but there's also been some talk about Ohtani with runners in scoring position. He's been cold so far. I think it was 1 for 19 when I last checked. And Dave Roberts said this is the most aggressive he has ever been with runners in scoring position, and said he's getting pitches to hit, but he's not waiting in the counts over and over. So he's going to see a few more pitches in those situations now, I'm sure. It's not like he's a super aggressive hitter either. He'll work a walk.
I think there's numbers, like people say, there's a number for everything in baseball. But one of the big ones for me is runners in scoring position. So that would bother me. And are you getting the guy over at least? Or are you getting a bloop single or whatever? That's a stat. Other stats, I'm like, whatever. But runners in scoring position, how you do that clutch factor, 1 for 19, not ideal, but they got guys behind them that can do it as well, and in front of them.
Your boy Votto used to get crap for that, not because he wouldn't deliver, but because they would pitch around him. That was a big combo back in the day when he was in his prime. They're like, you got to swing outside the zone. And he's like, I'm not going to swing outside the zone.
Back up.
Yeah. I mean, Ohtani's got plenty of support. He obviously is new to the party, but it's different. You go from what was happening in Anaheim to L.A., packed house every night, crazy amounts of media. It's different this year.
Can we give this out now or no? Or is that too much?
If you want. Are we doing it now? Or we'll wait. We'll give you more details on our socials about the bat and the baseball. All right. So everyone gear up for Dodgers territory, and we'll be back tomorrow on the field here at Great American Ballpark. I want to do another shout out and a thank you for our gracious hosts here at the BetMGM Sportsbook and Nation Kitchen and Bar. You can come here before a game, after a game, whenever they're off. They're open. They're open every day. You can place a bet. You can also have a nice, if you're age eligible, you can also have a nice little brew, age eligible, and food, no matter what age you are.
No matter what age.
Is elite. So thank you again for hosting us.
Go.
We'll see you on the field. We'll do a little meet and greet here after we do our show. Some people were asking when's the show. Still same time, 1 to 3 Eastern tomorrow at Great American Ballpark. Dodgers territory is next, so don't switch anything. If you're watching on YouTube, just let it ride right to the next show. We will see you with Mike Trout and Ellie De La Cruz, hopefully, on Friday.